Hi and welcome to She's the Boss, the show that is all about female founders and women doing extraordinary things in business. And today I am absolutely delighted because it is one of my best friends, Victoria Edgar, who is an amazing, amazing jeweller. And for those of you that have been over the years commenting on my amazing jewellery, and here, this beautiful piece, this is all Victoria's work. So welcome, Victoria. It's fantastic to have you here.
Thank you so much, Jules. I am delighted to be here with you.
And now I also just have to say that, as you know, I've always enjoyed champagne, and Vic does as well. So cheers, Vic.
Cheers, darling.
Now it's time for you to tell us your story. So I'm going to start with, tell everybody what it is that you do. I've given them a very brief overview, but you're pretty amazing. So how would you describe your business?
My business is a creative business. It is a creative design making business.
Yeah.
I'm a qualified gold and silversmith from RMIT in Melbourne. And what I do is I create, I make everything I do myself.
Yeah.
And I have made most probably over 20,000 pieces in my life.
Wow. How could you possibly have done that when you're so young?
And I just love that you've said that. Thank you.
But tell everybody, because your jewellery is very different, I think, to anything else that's out there.
Yeah.
Because when, and we'll go back to, you know, your start and all the rest of it, but you make these absolutely extraordinary body pieces. Tell everybody what a body piece is.
So a body piece is the largest piece of jewellery that I can possibly make.
It's ginormous.
It covers the whole body, but it's wearable, it's fully wearable, so I actually call it wearable art.
Right.
Yeah. And
describe it a little bit more for people, because, I mean, I can, but I prefer you to just explain how extraordinary it is.
You really have to see it.
You do, and we will show some footage of it.
And we will show some footage of it, which is fantastic. But I start from a centrepiece and then I work out.
Okay.
So
on life-size mannequins? On
life-size mannequins, I've done up to size 22 or whatever.
Just we love
I
it.
know we
very
like
inclusive.
Exactly, not just for the skinny minis.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of it's like silver and gold bras and bottoms and chest plates and headpieces.
So mixed. So I use mixed media. I use semi-precious and precious metals.
Yeah.
I combine sometimes found objects, and I also include beautiful stones. So I collect, you know, special stones. They become a centerpiece. I work out from there.
Yeah.
I do head pieces. I do arm pieces. Lots of rings. I do lighting. I do...
Oh, lighting. What do you mean by lighting?
I do lighting. I do lights as well.
Right.
Yeah, so I've done
garden sculptures. I know the amazing sculptures.
Yeah, outdoor, indoor sculptures. What else have we done? Installations. So I'll do installations on a beach.
Yes, amazing.
which is gorgeous. Yeah.
And now tell everybody about winning. I can't even remember what the name of the one was in New Zealand. What was that one?
The World of Wearable Art over it. No, I didn't actually win it.
You won Asia Pacific there, didn't you?
But I won one of the most outstanding design, which was fantastic, and I bought a prize back for Australia, so that's good.
Yes. I was so proud of you when you won that.
But I was so delighted, and I had, you know, the entirety of my family there, and it just was. New Zealand is extraordinary, and it was like almost a culmination of you know, a career highlight.
Right.
Really.
It was amazing.
It was astounding.
I don't think it'll be the penultimate thing. I think you've still got more to come.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure of it.
I
so you are absolutely creative in every aspect of everything that you do.
Thank you.
Including your incredible houses. And I remember your house in Fitzroy in Melbourne, and the fact that you were so funny because you would redesign it and repaint the walls and move all the furniture around, make it look amazing, and then the next time you came it would be completely different. So now you live on this massive farm, which I know has been in the family for ages. Let's go right back. How many brothers and sisters do you have, and where did you grow up, and what do your parents do?
Well, I've got one brother, and we grew up in the leafy suburbs of Canterbury in Mont Albert Road.
Okay.
Moved here.
Here being Geelong, to the farm?
Moved here to Geelong, to the Barrable Hills.
How old were you when that happened?
That was 10. So I was 10.
Okay.
So we actually moved from what I'd describe as relative luxury to a rundown 160-year-old beautiful sandstone property.
Yeah.
Old
was it a bit of a shock to the system
old
at the time?
farmhouse. Well, we actually had our first bath when we moved here.
Right.
In a trough.
And you know, my twins, when they were little, used to come here and also shower and bath in the
Absolutely, exactly.
So it's amazing. All right, so and tell everyone what your parents did too, because it's interesting that you're very creative. Well, I don't want to jump ahead. Tell everyone what your parents do.
Yeah, well, my father started, he's a stockbroker, was a fully trained stockbroker, and basically was a Collins Street farmer.
Mm-hmm. What does a Collins Street farmer mean?
That means that, well, all the stockbrokers in the old days, always used to trade from basically Collins Street.
Right.
So Collins Street farmers, you know, they bought investment properties, etc.
I've never heard that expression before.
Yeah. So Collins Street farmer.
Okay, and your mum?
And my mother, bless her heart, was most probably what we'd call a Southern belle. So she was.
Okay.
She is very beautiful woman, and she's done some significant things around the Geelong region, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
She's been the Deputy Mayor of Geelong.
Gosh, I don't think I knew that. I knew she was a politician for a while.
Yeah. So she had a lot to do with the Deakin Ethics Committee and such when they were setting up Deakin University in Morn Ponds, which is
so. Where's the creativity come from?
The creativity. The creativity.
Yes.
Where does it come from, Jules? Where does it come from? It comes from in here. It comes from in here and here. That's where it comes from.
But no other creative people sort of in the family that were role models for you?
My aunt.
Okay.
My aunt, very clever woman, was basically a very clever scientist, and then halfway through her life she changed and she went to the arts.
Oh, wow.
So I would say that she was one of my kind of role models in a way. But I was heavily influenced basically by the arts community that we were surrounded by in Canterbury and Mont Albert because, you know, we had Percival, John Percival, and various, you know, other artists, and they had a lot of exhibitions, you know, and we used to go to these exhibitions. I was incredibly impressed with the concept of making something from yourself and being self-determining, and then being able to exhibit and then sell. So I kind of got that idea. I sort of went, you know, the art life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about school then? Were you into schoolwork? Were you good at school? Did you like school?
I love school. Anything that I put my mind to, I would like to think that I really put myself in at 150.
150%.
Yeah. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it fully.
So school was one of those things. You started early.
Yeah. And
decided to do well.
And I loved, you know, it took me until I was 9 and a half before I read.
Right.
I didn't read at all.
Yeah.
No.
Not a big reader now either, from what I know of you.
I beg your pardon. I've read so many books, and then I just took to it. You know, all of a sudden I was reading Lord of the Rings. You know, and that was it. You know, I was in Mithril. I was in the land of rings and golden talks and warriors. It was, you know, I found a place.
All right, so then you finished school. How did you go in terms of finishing? Could you have done loads of different things, and how did you get into RMIT?
I could have done loads of things.
Okay, so you did well at school, so it could have been any option.
I I did well at
Yeah.
school. I did well at school, but there was nothing outstanding.
Okay. So you got into RMIT.
Yes.
Which is amazing because I think that was a very competitive course to get into, wasn't it?
Well, it was. I was very lucky. I have to say I was very lucky.
What happened?
2 weeks before the term started, term started, I launched myself into basically finding a course. And I went to Melbourne University, lined up. I'd been accepted to Melbourne Arts.
Okay.
And I lined up, and I was lined up behind 4 girls, and they were discussing how they would get, a doctor or somebody professional.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, this is not me. I want something serious. I want something that I can actually get my teeth into.
Right.
So I had 2 weeks to find something else. Somebody suggested RMIT. I went down building 2, walked down the stairs, and I saw this cabinet that was just full of amazing metalware, all done by hand.
Okay.
And I went, you are kidding
I'll have
me.
some of that.
You are kidding me. I want that. And it just so happened that the head lecturer, Robert Thanes, was actually walking down the corridor at the time, and I grabbed him and I said, how do I get into this course?
Wow.
And he laughed at me. He just laughed. And I said, I'm serious. How do I get into this course? He said, the course is full. We've got 12 seats. I said, how do I get into this course? He said, I'll speak to Vic Vodicka, who, directed the course at the time, and had a chat with him. And then they rang me a week later. And I remember having to iron all my drawings that I'd done, my drawings and paintings that I'd done for art.
To make them look all fancy, to be able to show them as your folio.
Which was the only subject that I absolutely adored at school, I have to say.
Yeah.
And we ironed all the drawings and all the paintings. And then I fronted up, and I had to sit with 7 lecturers, male lecturers around me. And
not intimidating at all then.
No, it wasn't. But I was really, I just saw it and I just went, do you know what? This is somehow for me. So
I love your tenacity. So you weren't going to let them say no.
No. And I answered all their questions, and I said, I will try. I will be. I actually didn't even say try. I will be one of your best students.
And you were.
And
because I remember you won the prize at the end of when you graduated, didn't you?
I won all the prizes.
Wow.
But I was, I was in great company, very dedicated, fellow amazing students with great talents, etc., etc. But I was putting in, between 60 and 80 hours a week.
Right. My God, you were dedicated.
So they actually...
That's in stark contrast to me doing media studies, which I think was 15 hours a week, and we didn't do any homework. 80 hours a week, or 60 to 80 hours. That's impressive.
60 to 80, and they actually ended up in 3rd year, they actually gave me a key to the studio so I could let myself out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you graduated with all these awards. What does an artist do then? How do you actually start making money out of it? What did you do first?
Well, the first thing that I thought of was basically to make jewellery and sell it.
Right. So
what I did was I set up Bodywear Designs.
Right.
And Bodywear Designs was dedicated because I felt that at that stage I'd started developing the idea of having a full wearable art piece made from metal.
Where did you get that inspiration from?
I would say most probably Tolkien,
Oh, okay. So it was just out there. It was an idea that just came to you.
It was floating, and it made sense to me. Yeah. So I wanted that armour. It was sort of like
beautiful armour. Though.
Exactly, but it was beautiful. Not aggressive, but just it was about strength. It was about kind of being a warrior. And to a certain degree, maybe a little bit of protection, sort of thing. It was like
thought of that psychologically.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do when you decide, and you're an artist, and you decide that you want to make body pieces? How in heaven's name did that sort of pan out? Tell us about your early part of your career, because I am sure there would be other artists who'll be watching going, how's she done it? And what should I do? Or maybe young girls who are thinking, I'd like to do art, but how could I make it into a career? So talk to us about how the career developed.
I think the career develops because you hone in on a very specific area, and then you decide that kind of this is your niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was lucky enough, really, in a way, to have it made quite obvious that my niche area was kind of, when I say these exceptional pieces, these big pieces, from that one big piece, which garnered so much press. You know, for example, when I had my first exhibition, Siri Onberg, God bless you, gave from the Emerald Hill Gallery in South Melbourne.
Yeah.
And so she hosted my first exhibition. Was incredible, incredibly generous and supportive, but she put in place a publicist.
Right.
And so
who knew publicists were in your life back in those days?
I love publicists. And so this big Celtic body piece, which I call the body piece, which was my first one, I made at James Street, Fitzroy. And in my first exhibition, I most probably got, I think, about 27 articles in the paper, in various papers. Right. It was quite extraordinary.
Did it make a difference?
It made a huge difference, because what it did was it allowed me to, create ranges around that, and then make them available, within a price range.
So when you get that kind of publicity and you're an artist, are you waiting for galleries and shops to come to you? I mean, is that what happened? That people came to you and said, I love your stuff, can you bring it into my shop? I'd like to sell it. Or did you actually have to go out and knock on doors?
I had to brave, which was exceptionally hard. And I really, really, heartfelt to say this. It is really hard to sell your own work.
Oh, hello. I understand that. I would think every woman out there gets that. It is.
It is really hard, and especially when it comes from, when I say a creative, but a very personal, a very intuitive space, and you're actually putting it out there to be kind of crunched, munched, etc., etc. I was, again, very grateful for the positive feedback that I got. And I was able...
trying not to be hurt by the people that went, I don't really like this. Who would sell this?
Well, you were the only one who ever said that.
I never did. I even remember when I reckon I was about 20 or 21, and I remember having a big basket of your jewellery and going up and down Chapel Street selling it into stores for you.
At the Ring. You found the Ring for me. I remember that was fantastic. Look.
So... Go on.
No.
Okay, so talk to me about how your career has evolved since then, because obviously you've gone from Fitzroy to Geelong to the farm.
Yeah.
People can see this incredible space that you work in, which is amazing, and we'll show some footage of it as well. But how has your career developed to where it is today? Can you talk about some of the highlights and lowlights, good and bad?
Well, I think a lot of it was based when I came back here as a single mum with two beautiful children.
Yeah.
I threw myself really, and that would have been 20 years ago, I threw myself totally into community works.
Right.
Therefore,
what do you mean by that?
Well, community developing, so incorporating art societies.
Yeah.
Trying to garner some sort of, cultural layer within Geelong.
A creative tribe.
Yes, exactly. Therefore, it strengthened my position in Geelong.
Right.
I was able to meet some of the premier artists at the time, and still enjoy that community.
That idea of
yes,
okay.
Yeah, definitely, because I felt when we came to Geelong that it kind of lacked a lot of cultural kind of integrity or flow.
No,
so
it was always just a satellite town of Melbourne, and it wasn't sort of really it didn't have a knowable culture anyway that people knew about, other than we knew Holdens were made down here and there was a football team, that kind of thing.
That's exactly right.
So you were leading the way really in terms of starting art festivals.
I was very driven to do that. So a lot of the projects for 10 years, whilst I had young children, were involved in, setting up opportunities like artists in the gardens at the Geelong Botanical Gardens, where we actually had, several artists who had outdoor sculptures, and no one had ever seen that or used that space before. And so we started to do that. We started to, and I got a lot of joy, and met a lot of people. It integrated me into, awareness of what was available, in my environment at that time. Throughout that, because I kept making body pieces, art photographers would ring me up. I'd have people from festivals. I'd have, fashion people who were running fashion parades, and they would ask me if, that my body pieces could feature, and that, obviously leads on to more and more opportunities. So really what I did, Jules, was, as we all do, is I put myself out there, and I tried everything. I'd almost say I tried everything once, at least.
Well done.
I know, and gave it a shot.
So after you've established yourself here, you've had some other. Well, I guess in your whole career, talk to me about some of the highlights, some of the really amazing things that actually maybe took your business to the next stage, because there've been some things that have happened that have sort of propelled you forward a bit, and then we'll talk about challenges after that.
Yeah. Well, I think definitely World of Wearable Art, going over to New Zealand and being part of that extraordinary event, and then going up on stage, and it really did feel amazing,
Like being at the Oscars.
It was.
It was. But it's the Oscars.
It was oysters and champagne. It was
Wow.
It was absolutely fantastic. Being asked to curate, which was a great honour, with Patrick Fisher, co-curator and director of the National Wool Museum. He asked me to actually put on, after that, he asked me to put on or to develop an exhibition, and so I developed this concept of master's art of the precious metal object, and the idea was that I would actually step back as a maker and a designer and become part of the running of the,
which is beautiful. It's kind of like what
more
I'm trying
curatorial.
To do with women. You wanted to shine the light on other artists and bring them up.
And I wanted to celebrate the fact and actually mark the fact that throughout Australia there are world-class, internationally
renowned,
superb people, who, males and females, who craft, who make, design. They are artists. They're not even artisans. They don't craft. They're art.
Yeah.
They're artists. And it was a huge joy to me to be able to put on an exhibition fully supported by the National Wool Museum, and literally just go, we need this, this can happen. And it was a superb exhibition. I'm very proud of it, like very proud. So that went from 2018 to 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other particular highlights that stand out, maybe further back?
Highlights, gosh.
You were in the Maker's Mark Gallery for a long time, and I know that, I don't know whether that was a highlight for you, but I know that was a very exclusive gallery to be at the top end of Collins Street in Melbourne.
Well, it was at the time.
Yes, I'm not saying it is
now.
No,
but it was at the time, and we did have a interesting. I would have to say it was an incident almost, but I was called up by Maker's Mark, and they said, "Oh, sure, he's in town." As she was.
I've always wanted to see your jewellery and share. Yeah.
And they said we've invited her to come to Maker's Mark to come and have a look at the body piece.
Wow.
And anyway, it was all beautiful, and she didn't actually turn up. So.
Oh no!
Which was
a shame, because she would have loved it too. I can so see her wearing some of your headpieces or one of your sort of bras made out of silver and pearls and everything.
I know. But
Oh,
anyway, it was just
but
one
I
of
mean,
those
so
things.
close, like.
Yeah. But life is, I mean, that is
Yeah,
what
of
life is
course.
like, of course, you know.
So, and now let's talking about what life is like. Let's talk about some of the things that aren't so great that happen in your business. We all have them.
Oh,
Often when something like that happens at the time, I know for me, I've had times where I felt this is a catastrophe. Like my career is over, or I'm going to have to ditch this whole idea. And then you kind of adapt and get yourself used to the fact that it's happened. And you can look back on it and go, I'm actually really glad that happened because it sent me in a different direction. Have you had some things like that happen to you?
I think in total, I think you have to be driven. If you're driven as a creative, you need to be quite optimistic.
Yes.
So you know, there are people half glass empty, half glass full. I'm a half glass full person. I'll actually go, hey, you know, that didn't work. So what are we going to do? Or how are we going to move that on to the next stage?
Can you give me specific examples of any times that have happened? I can think of one, so I'll give you a memory job.
Please, give me
please.
You
were working, was Marpa Pearls?
Oh,
the Pearl Company. Talk about that and what that did to your to your business, because it was a tragedy at the time, but it ended up being something that did send you in another direction. So explain that story to everyone.
Yeah, that was one of the most delightful but tragic times of my life, because Jerry and Mary Menke, beautiful, absolutely
What's
superb.
the name of their company? Is it Marpa Pearls?
No, Marpa Pearls.
Marpa Pearls.
So it's Marpa Pearls.
What are Marpa Pearls? Explain that to people.
Marpa Pearls.
That's a Marpa Pearl, isn't it?
That is a Marbe Pearl.
Marbe. Okay, sorry, shut up. Tell everyone what a Marpa. Tell me a bit. Tell them what.
I can show you what a Marpa Pearl looks like.
No, don't move, because you're all mic'd up. We'll show an image of it.
All right, okay. So Marpa Pearls are cultured abalone pearls from the abalone shell.
Yeah.
And their company is in Malakuta. And they commissioned me to make a series of ranges for them, which I was so delighted with because I love pearls and silver together. I just love it.
Yes.
And they were just a beautiful family company that evolved this whole process and this whole design, and loved them, etc. And they went over to France with laden with, you know, jewelry, and unfortunately came down over the Ukraine.
It was the MH40 war or whatever it was, plane, wasn't it?
Yeah, MH17, and yes, and we lost them. And it gutted, like,
I remember how devastated you were.
I was absolutely devastated. And a lot of people, in a sense, didn't really understand that. But when you, as a creative, when you find a mentor, it becomes so important, you know, to your life, your flow, your creativity. And, you know,
and overnight it was gone. So what was the lesson that you learned from that, and how did you adapt?
I adapted by literally just changing direction. So when something like that happens, I move away from that area briefly, and then I'll work on, for example, sculpture. So I threw myself into making, you know, organic myrrh-orientated sea sculptures, using some of the figures and some of my kind of symbols, which, you know, like the egg, etc., etc. And I did a whole series of works recently for Kudos Art Gallery called I Am the Egg, which was fantastic. And you know, I love developing like ranges of several pieces, and I think 5 of them sold, which was fantastic. You know, which I was thinking, yes. That was just before. That was February 2020,
just before the pandemic.
Just before the pandemic, and then everything shut down. So I was kind of on this flow, and then again had to change. The wonderful thing about being a creative is that you can adapt.
Yeah.
And that resilience is one of the key features of your
You
life.
have to, I presume.
Yeah,
I mean,
and your world.
you're
Yeah.
getting doors slammed on you occasionally. Life is not easy as an artist to get your work out there.
It is never easy, but it teaches you how to adapt, how to be resilient, how to tighten your belt. You know, there are times where you have absolutely no money and you've got to you reuse materials, you're resourceful. These are the things that, that's why I feel mostly I'm still here.
All right, now we haven't got much longer, but I would love to know, what is the big plan for Victoria Edgar Jewellery going forward? Where would you like to see it, and where are you heading towards?
Where I'm heading towards is, for example, I've been called up by artist Shirin Jenkinson.
Okay.
And she's got one of the best equine photographers in Australia.
Equine photographer.
Equine photographers. And so they're doing a photo shoot with two beautiful Andalusian horses.
Wow. And you're going to dress them?
Yes, and I'm going to make wearable art for the horses, wearable art. So we do these amazing, I mean, when I say we, I provide wearable art pieces. They are becoming more and more kind of, you know, like theatrical, drama-filled photo shoots, etc.
Yeah.
And I think where I'd like to head is I would like to head in through wearable art. I'd like to become the wearable artist.
Yes.
You know, and
I think you are already. Is there anybody else doing similar to you, wearable art in Australia with?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, there are.
Are there?
Yeah. Well, there's a fantastic show that's called MAD, which is Melbourne Alternative Designers.
Right, I've been to one.
And there are some amazing wearable artists, but I think my difference, viva la difference, is it's in metal.
Yeah.
So I'm a maker in metal. So everything I do, they tried at Deakin University to tear me away from metal when I did my honours in 2018.
What did they want you to do instead?
Paint.
Right.
Yeah. So I had a great time throwing things at one canvas until it got that thick.
Right.
and then decided that I was not a painter.
Right.
So yeah, metal is what makes me buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Well, your metal makes everybody else buzz, and we will show some of your work here. But
thank you.
Let's talk now about, if anyone wanted to buy your work, what is the best way for them to be able to see your folio and to be able to purchase from you?
Oh, look, absolutely. You know, one of the key pieces of advice I'd have to any creative is collect and catalogue your great images. Just, you know, never forget every single piece that you make. Catalogue it. Catalogue.
Now, that's something though that you learned later in life, really, since you've been on the farm. Because I don't remember seeing things in the olden days. I want to say that we're that old, compared to, say, the last 10 years where you have been photographing all of it and putting it up on your Facebook and Instagram pages and on your website. So just tell everyone how they can find you. What are your Instagram handles? What are your Facebook handles?
Yeah.
What's your web address?
So my website address is www.victoriaedgar.com.au.
Yes.
And if you want to go and see me on Instagram, so I put up, at the moment I'm putting up full body pieces on IG, Instagram, and that's victoria.edgar.
Yep.
Okay, and then I've got a Facebook page, Victoria Edgar Jewellery.
Yep.
And LinkedIn. So you can look up Victoria Edgar on LinkedIn, and I've only just started LinkedIn, but you know, I'm looking forward to.
It's one of my favourite platforms nowadays, so I get it.
I am looking forward to a new platform, and yeah, so
come and buy from you.
Viva!
Well, look, I hope you have enjoyed this interview. I absolutely love Vic. Obviously, I adore her jewellery. And I hope that you have enjoyed this as well, and that you go and buy a piece for yourself, because Vicky's work is very, very special, and we all deserve to treat ourselves. And for any artists out there, I encourage you to just keep going. and you too could be like Victoria Edgar.